So welcome, and this is an audio version of the Common Constitutionalist weekly podcast. Had a few, a camera issue, we'll just say that, so I'm just going to forget about it for now and do the audio, go back to the old audio version of the Common Constitutionalist weekend podcast, and welcome to the New Year's Eve edition. Not that it's going to be any different from any other freaking edition, but there you go. So today I'm going to talk about one topic and one topic only, and it is about SWATing. And I had never even heard of SWATing, but we'll talk about that today on the New Year's Eve edition of the Common Constitutionalist.
You are listening to the Common Constitutionalist, broadcasting from an undisclosed location, free from the prying eyes of establishment black helicopters.
Okay, welcome back. So this is from RedState, and SWATing, they say, is a dangerous hoax in which someone calls the police and falsely reports that a shooting has happened at a particular address. When police show up at the address, the person who answers the door has no idea what's going on and is suddenly facing police officers who think the homeowner is armed and dangerous. It's been going on for years, although, like I said, I guess I haven't heard of it, or maybe somebody mentioned it to me at one point and then it didn't register. I frankly don't know, but it's a new thing to me. But RedState says that it's been going on for years and has always been a recipe for someone getting killed, and now that has apparently happened. Oh, great. So, apparently some online gamers have said in multiple Twitter posts that a shooting of a man Thursday night by Wichita police was the result of a swatting hoax involving two gamers. Don't you love these frickin' scrawny little stinky gamers living in their underwear in their mother's basement, and they don't have anything better to do than to call in hoaxes and getting people killed, or I guess that's about as bad as it could get. That's the worst of it. But imagine someone walking up to rushing your house, pounding on the door. You answer, and their guns drawn in your face, hands up. What about the victims? Where are the dead people? Who are you taking hostage? Whatever. You don't have a freaking clue what's going on. And then all of a sudden, before you know it, you're handcuffed and being perp walked down your driveway while your neighbors are watching. Whoa, what a fun time that would be. Anywho, they continue. Deputy Wichita Police Chief Troy Livingston said the Thursday night that the police were looking into whether the call that led to the shooting was a case of swatting. Livingston said the department received a call that someone had an argument with their mother, that the father had been shot in the head and the shooter was holding his mother, brother, and sister hostage. I mean, this was obviously a hoax, as we'll find out later. But what kind of demented mother blanker do you have to be that you're so bored with your own life or that of your peers that you have to make these crank calls? And it's one thing to make a crank call and, say, is your refrigerator running? You better catch it type of nonsense. That's one thing. Everybody's made crank calls when they're kids, or teens, or even probably dopes in their 20s. But these guys, I mean, this is just unbelievable. And I actually listened to the 911 audio recording. And this kid is completely believable. He sounds like a lunatic whack job that did in fact shoot his parents and holding or shoot his father and holding his mother and his other sibling hostage. It's unbelievable the acting job this kid does. And it probably isn't all acting because he's probably just that demented. So the Deputy Wichita Police Chief Troy Livingston said that was the information we were working off of. Officers went to the 1000 block of McCormick Street preparing for a hostage situation, and they got into position, he said. A male came to the front door, Livingston said, and as he came to the front door, one of our officers discharged his weapon. Livingston didn't say if the man who was 28 had a weapon when he came to the door or what caused the officer to shoot the man. Police don't think the man fired at the officers, but the incident is still under investigation, he said. The man, who has not been identified by police, died at a local hospital. Now, not only the 911 call did they make that public, but they also produced a body cam video of this incident, and it's only like 50 seconds long. Unfortunately, because of the graininess of this, because body cams are basically close quarters, type of video. And so, if you're filming somebody from 4 to 5 feet away, that's one thing. But this is across the street that this body cam video, so it's grainy as crap. You have no idea what's going on, and the whole body cam video is only like 56 seconds long. So this incident occurred, not instantaneously, but pretty dang quickly. So the author of this RedState post claims that he had been in that situation, although he writes, "Thank God I was not shot when it happened to me. On July 1st, 2011, I was swatted at my home in California after receiving an email threat a week earlier. I fully described the incident in this post." And we're going to take a real quick break, and then we're going to come back to hear the full description of the incident in the RedState post. We'll be right back. You're listening to me, the Common Constitutionalist.
Yeah, baby! Yeah.
All right, welcome back. And to recap real quick, this is an article from RedState that I'm referencing here, and it's incidents called SWATing, where crank callers make calls to police and claim that there's been a murder or a kidnapping or some equally heinous crime at some home that the homeowners know nothing about. The call is made, and then the police rush in, thinking that there's a perpetrator there, an armed thug or something like that with murdered people in the house. And that's what SWATing is all about, as in calling in the SWAT team. That's what SWATing is. And the RedState author said that he was involved in a swatting incident in 2011, and he's going to describe the incident right now. And so here we go. At 12:35 a.m. on July 1st, 2011, sheriff's deputies pounded on my front door and rang my doorbell. They shouted for me to open the door and come out with my hands up. When I opened the door, deputies pointed guns at me and ordered me to put my hands in the air. I had a cell phone in my hand. Fortunately, they did not mistake it for a gun. And that has happened quite often, folks. So you know what? Why don't you just detach from your cell phones when you go answer your door? Put the stupid freaking cell phone down so you don't get yourself shot. Or better yet, why don't you just put the stupid cell phone down for a while anyway? Okay, so they ordered me to turn around and put my hands behind my back. They handcuffed me. Now, at this point, I think this is I'm a huge supporter of the cops and the military, obviously. But at this point, they got nothing. These police have nothing to go on but a phone call, an anonymous phone call, I suppose. And so they rush in, and they arrest this guy for under no grounds at all. He's got no weapon. He's got no clue what's going on. The police don't really inform him much of anything other than to turn around, and they handcuffed his blank. And so, I'm sorry, but that's not right either. After you've determined that the guy is not armed and that he's not a threat, why in the heck aren't you just standing there in the front door questioning him instead of handcuffing him? They shouted questions at me. Is there anyone in the house? And where are they? And are they alive? You could have done that without handcuffing the guy. You already got probably, 2 or 3 cops, armed and pointing their weapons privately at his head. What do you need to handcuff the guy for? He's not a threat. You could have asked him all these questions without handcuffing him. I told them, yes, my wife and my children are in the house. They're upstairs in their bedrooms sleeping, and of course they're alive. And at this point, this dude still had no freaking idea what was going on. And this is adding insult to injury, as he says, deputies led me down the street to a patrol car parked about 2 to 3 houses away. At least one neighbor was watching out her window as I was placed handcuffed into the back of the patrol car. So what the heck, man? Where does this poor son of a gun go to get his reputation back? Because the cops acted. I understand that, they are in a potentially volatile situation of which they don't know yet at this point. But after you've determined that this guy is unarmed and doesn't appear to be a threat, isn't drunk or drugged or whatever, what are you doing this for? You've got no cause to do this other than some stupid anonymous phone call that could have and did come from anybody. I saw numerous patrol cars on my quiet street. There was a police helicopter flying overhead, shining a spotlight on us as I walked toward the patrol car. What the frick is this, man? Several neighbors later told us the helicopter woke them up. I saw a fire engine and an ambulance, and a neighbor later told me that a hazmat vehicle was out on the street as well. What did they think was happening here? Well, they think ISIS was holding up in the house or something? Holy crap. Meanwhile, police rushed into my home. They woke up my wife, led her downstairs to the front porch, frisked her, and asked where the children were. Duh. Then the police ordered her to stand on the front porch with her hands against the wall while they entered my children's bedrooms to make sure that they were alive. Holy crap! The call that sent deputies to my home was a hoax. Someone had pretended to be me. They called the police to say I had shot my wife. The sheriff's department, who arrived at the front door, believed that they were about to confront an armed man who had just shot his wife, and I don't blame the police for any of their actions, but I blame the person who made the call because I could have been killed. Well, sorry, dude, but I do blame the police at this point, because once they determined that you were not an armed threat or any threat at all, they didn't have to let their guard down, but they didn't have to treat you like, Hannibal Lecter. This is just incredible, and it's so over the top, it's unbelievable, all from an anonymous frickin' phone call. I thought that we had the technology, that the police had the technology to ping back these phones or something to make sure that it's not a crank call. What the hell? What a waste of freaking taxpayer money. I mean, I'm surprised they didn't call the FBI and the National frickin' Guard at this point. Ridiculous. So, let me take a breather here and, honey child, I'm getting a little worked up here. We're gonna take another quick break. I'm gonna take a breath in a paper bag so I don't hyperventilate. I'll be right back. Oh, okay, so anyway, welcome back. I'm not going to bother to recap because this is so insane that I don't want to recap it. So anyway, I said that before the last break, I said I can't believe they didn't call the National Guard and the FBI. Well, son of a gun, listen to this. I never described how slipshod the investigation was, but the FBI investigators clearly did not care about this case. Now, the FBI wasn't called to investigate him. They were called to investigate the phone call, which should be pretty frickin' simple. They waited 7 months to subpoena the phone records. They failed to subpoena the records of other calls made by the SWATer until those records had been purged. Whenever I called them about the case, I got the distinct sense that I was regarded as a pain in the rear. Well, and as an aside here, we've heard about the FBI, of all the trials and tribulations of the incompetent, not the incompetent, but the lying sacks of crap at the FBI at the upper echelon, shielding Hillary Clinton and her cronies and Obama and everything from any kind of prosecution or a grand jury or anything else. And then the very next sentence is, well, It's not the rank and file FBI. Those guys are fabulous. They're wonderful. They put their life on the blah, 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 blah. Well, listen, this is the whole point about this thing. It's not, I'm sure it's not there are bad apples in every department of every company and every public service and private sector and every other thing. Of course there are. But when you get people like this who, this guy could have been killed. For sure, he could have been killed. And boy, I'll tell you, by the looks of it, the police were amped up, baby, and they were ready for a fight. If this guy had done anything but just been compliant, wow, look out, baby. So he says, I got frustrated with the FBI and finally told the agent in charge of the case that they needed to work harder on these cases. I said that swatting was very dangerous, that one day eventually it would end up killing someone, and now that has evidently happened. I've been shouting about this issue for years, he writes, and have been warning again and again of the danger. I should feel vindicated. Instead, I just feel sick to my stomach, and my heart goes out to the man's family. What an awful and terrible thing. And, of course, he is talking about this swatting incident that, in fact, did get a man shot, who was unarmed, and as far as I know, he was unarmed. Why would he have been armed? He didn't know the first thing about this. Although, if somebody's pounding on my door in the middle of the night, I'm going to be armed when I show up at the door. Now, if it's the police, I'm going to surrender it immediately, or I will just place it down and be done with that for the time being and just let them know that I've got one in the house, or two, or whatever, but that's another whatever. So, anyway, the update is that this they revealed the name of the swatting victim in Wichita. His name is Andrew Finch, and he leaves behind 2 children ages 7 and 2, and his family says he was not armed. And this is just a ridiculous incident, and I guarantee you that if more isn't done about this swatting stuff, and if someone, I really hate, I'm going there. I'm just going to go there, just because I get so ticked off about this kind of crap, that these little weenie fairy princesses that sit around online gaming in their mother's basement, they don't have anything better to do than disrupt and ruin other people's lives just for the fun of it. Well, somebody needs to be made an example of. Now, I consider myself a peaceable, law-abiding citizen, and I normally don't believe in state Gestapo tactics of making examples of people in order to frighten them out of or into whatever the state determines as acceptable behavior. I get that. But in these particular cases, with these little fairies that just get their jollies over ruining other people's lives, I'd be willing to make an exception in cases like this. When pathetic little worthless online gamers are so bored with their own worthless lives that they feel the need to ruin someone else's just for the thrill of it, they deserve to be taught a real life lesson, in my opinion. And to be honest with you, I haven't thought this out completely. I'm just enraged by it all. So I'm just going to speak my mind. Whether it be lunacy or not, it's my right to speak my mind. And like I said, if these online gamers or whoever's doing this just for the fun of it, this is really cool, dude, let's kill another person, yeah. I mean, if they're just calling to say, you've got Prince William in a can or whoever the heck that, I think it was a pipe tobacco or something. In fact, Sir Walter Raleigh, and I don't know what it was. You better let him out, or like you said, your fridge is running. You better catch it. That's silly nonsense. Isn't going to get anybody hurt. It may tick some people off, particularly if it's in the middle of the night and you wake them up to a phone call. But that's about all that's going to happen. But these guys are doing something that the victim of the swatting may not be able to come back from. It's not like these online gamers, these guys that play these video games, particularly war video games, and my sons and I play these things still all the time, Call of Duty and stuff, because I'm such an easy, not in real life, but online, because I just don't have the dexterity to do the controllers like these guys, like my sons do, and I'm an easy target, so they love playing with me because they can just shoot me dead. And the thing about video games is it's what's called respawning. when you get shot dead, it pauses for a minute, and then you press a button and you wake back up again, and on you go. And to be shot again by my son's online, it's just, but it's fun for us because we understand the difference. Duh. I mean, it's granted it's a lot more fun for them than it is for me because I'm usually the shootee, not the shooter. But it's all in fun, and we know it's fantasy, and we know it's a game, and there is no respawning in real life. So here's what I propose. I propose that the next dozen or so, or half a dozen or so people who get caught as swatting perpetrators, these little weenies in their underwear in their mommy's basement that are doing it for the thrill of it, the people that actually made these calls and set the events in motion, like the little fairy princess who placed the 911 call in the Andrew Finch incident, and now Finch can't respawn. He ain't getting up anytime soon, and he's left 2 children behind. I propose that these guys be summarily hung on a gallows on national television and explain exactly why we're doing what we're doing. Of course, obviously they'd be found guilty by a jury trial and whatnot, but I'm not certainly advocating street or vigilante justice where you hang them over the old maple tree or whatever the crap it is. No, this would be perfectly legal. As a matter of fact, we got rid of legal hangings, and we shouldn't have, frankly. But what I'm advocating is a message to be sent to all these pansies that think it's okay to get your kicks by ruining other people's lives, by making people, making calls in your underwear, sitting in your little mommy's basement, because you can't function in the real world. Now, I don't know the first thing about Andrew Finch. I mean, this guy, he could be a great guy, he could be a great father, or he could be a total bag of poo. But who cares? That's none of my business or yours. Or, frankly, the police's, if his bag of poo-ness is legal. I only know that now 2 young kids are going to grow up without a dad. All because of these little weenie gamers or gamer or whoever. And I guarantee you, it wasn't just one guy who did this. There were people egging him on. Dude, yeah, that was awesome, dude. Yeah, dude. So after the punk, particularly this punk, this is the guy you should make an example of. So after he's found guilty, without a shadow of a doubt, he should be led to a town square, Wichita, or wherever the crap he's from. I don't care, because it's going to be on national TV. All the national media cameras will be rolling as a statement is made that this is what's going to happen to anyone from now on who is caught swatting. And as the camera rolls, the chump is led up the stairs, and the noose is put around his neck. And unlike the movies, there will be no hood placed over his head. Then they pull the lever and allow all the would-be coward pranksters to witness their fates should they be as stupid as this guy. So am I kidding about this? Man, I don't know. I'm not kidding about this. Hanging isn't any more cruel and unusual punish than anything else. I frankly, I want to bring back the firing squad. That's just freaking awesome. It's cheap. It gets the job done. And there's no coming back. You get, 5-10 guys, sharpshooters in front of 20 feet in front of a guy and say, fire. No, they're not going to miss. They're not going to miss their mark, and the guy ain't going to get up. Unlike old Sparky, the electric chair, and chemicals that don't work, and our effort to make everything humane. Well, there would be nothing more humane than giving the guy a lead sandwich, putting 2 in his hat, and be done with it. He'd be dead instantly. There's no more humane way to off somebody, so to speak. So I guess that's about all I've got. I don't know if I'm serious about this, but I'm so angry about this kind of stuff that these frickin' little weenies get away with this crap. And, if they go to prison or whatnot, this guy, I doubt that this kid's going to spend, the rest of his life in prison, and we shouldn't have to pay for it. All right? This is a capital crime. Sure, some of it's on the police who, in my opinion, probably acted a little too hasty. They certainly do in the instance of the RedState author, but